But there are still people who are new and coming into the space who may see this stuff and go, oh, I didn't know not to be doing teams of 3 thrusters with an individual in the middle. Who would have ever thought not to do that? Yo, this is going to end up being one of those videos where there's going to be a handful of people in the comment section say, I don't know how this is supposed to make CrossFit any better. It's going to be a fails video. It's going to be mainly CrossFitters failing, doing things. And my ultimate comeback to that is that when enough people see a fail video, they're not going to end up doing that thing ever again. And if this ends up reaching a couple of people who don't already watch my videos, maybe they'll watch another one of my videos and that one might bring them into the CrossFit world a little bit. Maybe it won't. But either way, eyes are the #1 goal of a YouTube channel, and this sort of stuff brings eyes to a YouTube channel. I got every single one of these from a page called Drywall, and if you are unfamiliar with Drywall, that was one of those satirical pages in the early CrossFit days, like 2012, 13, 14, 15, along with beastmodaldomains, The Naked CrossFitter, Ben Smith's dad. Those are all pages that kind of aren't around at all anymore, but when I went through the Facebook page, I pulled together a handful of pictures and videos, and I'm going to rank them, starting with a handful of those pictures and videos that are inevitably dangerous, and they're going to be the least potentially dangerous to the most potentially dangerous, and there's going to be a handful of videos where they are actually causing danger, all the way through what I think is the most dangerous of them all. We're going to start off with these 2 dudes that actually look professional, which is why they're at this point in the list, because the guy below is actually pretty good at gymnastics, front and back lever. The guy above, while he could fall on top of this dude and snap him up pretty bad, I just have this sense that it's not going to happen. So while they very well could be in the super dangerous portion, because who knows, these weights could fall on top of the person who's doing the gymnastics and hurt him very badly, I just get no sense of that actually happening. That is different than this female who is pushing this, while the tire doesn't look all that heavy, keeping her a little bit lower on the list. So if it were to flip over, let's say skip a step and fall on top of her, I think that she would be okay. Maybe she goes right through the center of it and she's all good no matter what. It just is a terrible idea to try to flip a tire up these stairs, and this female doesn't look to be the strongest nor the smartest person for doing these things. This next picture, I think I've seen a handful of times, and you may have seen it too. This is why team competition stuff is so hard to program for, because no one knows what the fuck they're doing. I don't know who in their right mind thought that this is a good idea, but the person on top of the box could be yanked over by the person who's throwing themselves into a ring push-up. That same person is putting their neck into great potential for danger and injury. Both people can be harmed right here, and this is just something that should have never been done. Just do regular fucking push-ups. This next one is actually incredibly dangerous because this individual in the middle is monkeyed onto this barbell between these 2 male athletes, and it looks like a team of 3 competition. And I'm picking up on a trend here. Team competitions have the potential to be idiotically programmed for. And what were to happen if, let's just say, one of these 2 dudes was sweaty and their hands didn't have quite good enough grip. One end of the barbell was let go, and that end of the barbell, maybe the side where the female's head is on it, and that freaking side just flings down to the ground and she smacks her head on the ground. And that's going to be one of the themes of this video, is head injuries and potential for head injuries, because that's a quick trip to the hospital. So if you're watching this video and programming for a team competition, don't do this sort of a stupid thruster. This next one, I looked at it a couple of times and I can't see that it's edited at all, but I don't know how this is possible. I don't know really the ins and outs of it, but this individual is doing one of those overhead squat photos in what looks like their profession, and it looks like it's some sort of a steel mill, and it looks like this is freaking molten lava, and he's just overhead squatting. It's just hitting the floor. There's some sort of shin guard on. If any of that gets on any part of him, see you later to that part of your body, just straight through the body, because it's so freaking hot. 100th degree burns or some shit. I hope that this wasn't posted to the CrossFit main site, but it looks like it may have been posted to the CrossFit main site on like an old ass Instagram. But let's just say that that's set up for someone who's 150 pounds doing muscle ups, and let's just say someone who's 200 pounds jumps up and tries to do muscle ups. Every single one of those weights is gonna teeter-totter, catapult right on top of their freaking head. Like I said, head injuries are gonna be the theme here. So in my opinion, of all of the things that I've just shown you, I think that this has the most potential for danger, because it can literally be any person like, oh, cool, rings, like anybody does. Everyone walks into a CrossFit gym for the first time. The things that they're pulled to are either the rope or the rings. They jump on up, they're like, oh, I remember when I used to. And then while they're having those thoughts, they're like, that's the last thing you're ever gonna think when you remember when you used to. And then it's like, poof. 45-pound plate right to the dome. And that is the end of the ones that are potentially dangerous. Now we're getting to the ones where danger is actually occurring. First one, you can tell that it's grid league. There's an individual swinging the kettlebell around, loses control, and then gets thrown out of the way. That's not all that bad. However, it just looks like it's a little bit too much, and it's because they're trying to go as fast as they can, and blah, blah, blah. This next one is some sort of a squat clean into a thruster. Maybe they were trying to re-rack for a jerk, but the individual just loses the bar, and then it lands on top of them. Looks a little bit lighter. That's different than a couple of the videos we're going to be seeing later, and then when the individual hits the ground, it didn't look like it was all that bad, so this is lower on the list. The first of a few of these videos where an individual is trying to do a box jump and shouldn't be doing this box jump to this height. Also in what looks like nothing like workout apparel. Doesn't take into account that the boxes aren't stacked properly, or maybe they aren't velcroed together, and then just slides to their death. Lucky that they didn't land directly on their head, as I've been saying. Here's the second individual trying to complete a box jump to a height where maybe they misanticipated the actual height of that box jump. Maybe they're in the middle of a workout. This one looks like he gets the absolute shit knocked out of him. Catches the box right on his stomach, or maybe it's on his balls, and then he just kind of sits there for a little while. Someone comes on over, it's like, hey, are you alright? It's like, I can't feel my soul, it's knocked out of my body. Whenever anyone's doing a box jump workout, I'm always like, make sure you don't miss, because usually what happens is you underestimate how high or how hard you actually have to jump, or maybe you did some deadlifts and you're going to under jump, so you have to over jump. But it's like, hey, don't miss. This guy just didn't think about how high that box actually was, and neither did this guy. Another individual who just misses a height of a box jump. You see a lot of these, and this is one of the people who you watch and it's like, well, you're wearing weightlifting shoes. That's already a bad idea to be doing a max height box jump in weightlifting shoes. Like those people who you see walking down the street in weightlifting shoes, you don't know what they're for. Freaking idiots. Alright, now this one I think is the worst. It's the most cringy. Here's a female in heels, and you can see that the bar is heavy because she already can't pick the freaking thing up, and then she goes after it again. She's still wearing her dress, and maybe that isn't a wrestling mat, but it looks like it's not stable. But the only reason it doesn't look like it's stable is because of that freaking ankle thing. And in real time, it's like, oh, that looks kind of bad, but then this video actually goes a little bit further to show you the freaking thing slow down, and in slow motion, the freaking death ankle roll. It's like, oh my god, could you imagine? So if you were curious, don't do deadlifts in heels. Don't do any sort of exercise in heels. It's why you take your shoes off and do these deadlifts barefoot, as I made a video on barefoot deadlifting. These three videos I kind of have all right next to one another. So we have an individual that looks like they're at a regional level. Yeah, it's actually a regional event 5, and they drop the barbell on themselves. Looks like it just knocks the wind out of him. I've caught snatches before where I go directly to my knees like that, and I've never dropped it on top of myself, but it looks like the wind is just knocked out of this dude. We've seen these ones before where the grip just goes and then they fall directly to their doom. If there were to be a negative side to kipping pull-ups, I would say that it is this, not all of the typical, oh, it doesn't count because it's too easy, but because when you're putting all of that momentum into your grip and your grip is fatigued, the potential for you flying off the bar backwards like this gets increased quite a bit. So much potential for head injury trauma along with this one. So you see this individual who's throwing their feet through the rings. Never a good idea, and I actually don't know how this is possible. I have seen this video before, but what you end up seeing happening is that they just go. Maybe she lets go of the rings, and if she does let go of the rings, she's lucky that her foot got out, because that could have been like a torqued up knee, broken foot, something or another, but instead all she did was land on her head, which is probably the worst outcome of all of this. And then we get to the last one. I think that this is the worst of all of them, and you may have a different opinion. Maybe you thought it was the ankle roll, but this guy takes a barbell directly to the face, tries to do a power clean, doesn't look like he has any idea what's going on. It hits him right in the freaking nose, mouth area. That's going to be an expensive dentist visit, and then gets catapulted into the rig behind him. And if he were to the left or to the right, he could have gotten speared by a J-cup, or he could have smacked his head against the freaking metal pole. It just looks like he's in the doom danger zone area that is metal surrounded by flying barbells. And I guess one of the biggest things that I want to do with this video is when I was working at the affiliate full-time, head coach, co-owner, people would say, what is it that you do here?
What would you say you do here?
And I would say,
I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
65% of my job is DJ, to make sure that no one would bitch about the music. And then the other 35% is injury and catastrophe management. I would go so far to make sure that the boxes were not lined up with bars directly across from them. So if you were to, for some reason, miss a box jump and go forward, that you wouldn't smack your face on a bar, like a pull-up bar, rig upright, or like there's a J cup there. I can only imagine what would have happened if you like fell backwards off of a box and caught your head on that freaking J cup. Like, who's in trouble? Me, the affiliate owner. It's one of the biggest reasons that I hated doing like the 12 days of Christmas workouts, because everyone's moving all around the freaking place and everyone's doing snatches and clean and jerks and muscle ups and toes to bar and kettlebell swings and box jumps, and no one's really paying attention to what's going on. So like, Andrew, do you want to do this workout with us? And I'm like, no, I got to make sure that everyone is moving around everybody the way that they should. And the reason for this video is to give everybody a little bit more insight about things that you should not be doing. And a couple of them are like, duh, this is all from 2013-14. We've learned a little bit, but there are still people who are new and coming into the space who may see this stuff and go, oh, I didn't know not to be doing teams of 3 thrusters with an individual in the middle. Who would have ever thought not to do that? It's like, well, now you know. Part 2 coming out within the next couple of days. Andrew Hiller out.